KHTS FM 98.1 AM 1220. I'm Jade Aubuchon, KHTS co-news director, and I'm here today interviewing 2022 City Council candidate Douglas Frasier. How are you doing today, Douglas?
Good day. Everything's good. A little hot in the weather, though.
Douglas, I'm afraid we can't hear you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. The weather's a little hot for this time of year, but we're getting by.
All right, got a little bit of technical difficulties going on here. There we go.
Hello?
Yeah, just 1 second, Douglas. Technical difficulties here.
All right, there we go. Now I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Okay.
can, indeed. Well, I'm glad you're doing
And
well.
the audience can hear me?
Yes, they can indeed.
Okay. Yeah, this weather seems to be hanging in here too hot for us in Santa Clarita.
Yes, I know. It's just a little bit too warm. Hopefully, we'll be getting a little bit of a cool down, but we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Well, let's launch.
Need some rain.
Yes, that we do. Well, not as much as Florida's getting right now, but a little bit of rain would be good. Why don't we launch right into it? Why are you running for city council?
I have had some experiences with the city staff and the way they communicate with the citizens, and so I want to bring a more transparent and availability type of communication. So when citizens ask questions and they have emails sent, then that I'll be more responsive and more available to the citizens to answer their questions compared to what I've experienced so far.
I see. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? From what I remember from when you ran back in 2020, you're a longtime resident of Canyon Country, correct?
Yes, I've lived in Canyon Country 27 years. I live in a manufactured home I bought in 2005. So the city has an ordinance that regulates the process for rent increases. So I got involved with that and was on the panel for about 8 years. And then the last 3 years, I was the chairperson of the panel. We took in the appeals and discussed them and then decided where the rent could increase for the manufactured home parks. So that's been my main experience and main contribution to the city and the citizens in Santa Clarita.
Interesting. Okay, so as a candidate, what do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns for the community in our city of Santa Clarita, and why?
Well, like I say, the first issue would be the way the city staff and the city approaches communications. They're real business friendly, and they seem to be more interested in the business end of the situation with the city. But when the citizens try to accomplish something or bring something to the city, then they're more standoffish and they don't have the same kind of enthusiasm to approach the problems that the citizens bring. The second issue is definitely the housing. The cost of housing is a problem, and I've seen articles, I think, comparing the rates of Santa Clarita's rent to the rates in other big cities like New York. So the housing cost needs to be brought under control, and we can do like we've done with the manufactured home. We can actually do a rent increase process with the apartments, and that would help the seniors out. I know a lot of seniors live in apartments and they have no way to avoid the rent increases. If we had a way that would process, then they would be able to appeal any rent increase they got. And third is this drug problem that really creeped into the city right now with the fentanyl and the the distribution, how easy it is to get, and we need to educate mainly the students about how dangerous it is. So we need to get the drug problem under control, and also enforcement on the dealers and the people that are bringing the drugs in is a big way to solve the problem too.
All right, and what skills and experience would you bring to the table if you were elected?
I've worked as a county employee for many years, and now I'm retired. I don't have a outside job. This would be my full-time job, so I would be available a lot more than somebody that has a full-time job. My experiences, I have been a member of a task force that we classified a new job at the county level. A new program came from the state, and then we went through the whole process of classification study, and we presented to the CEO's office at the county level and then to the Board of Supervisors. So I have a lot of experience dealing with the way the politics and the issues go forward and how to go through each step correctly and into the next step. So I have a lot of experience. Plus the experience I had on the rent control panel has allowed me to get to know the city staff and know how the city is organized too.
Speaking of rent control and kind of housing overall, a recent poll conducted by the city showed that Santa Clarita residents considered one of our main issues to be overdevelopment and growth. Do you think overdevelopment is a problem in Santa Clarita, and what would you do to address it?
Yes, the overdevelopment is done without the issues of without addressing the issues that are the concern, like the traffic problem. Each time we develop another housing project, that just adds multiple more traffic on the road. Each time an ER, the report comes in, it needs to be scrutinized a little more and pushed back, such as a parking problem. In some developments, there's not enough parking for the residents themselves, let alone any guests they have. So there's a big parking problem when you develop a new housing project. So you need to add more parking, and you can put in there that the water needs to be retained and collected and pushed back in the ground instead of just drained off to the river. There's some ways we can regulate these new projects to allow them to develop, but we also need to address the problems that come along with the development.
Mm. In the same city poll that I just mentioned, residents also noticed that they considered homelessness to be a major issue affecting our valley. Do you feel like the city is offering enough support to our unhoused residents? And what would your approach as a city council member look like when it came to addressing their concerns?
We are doing a lot for the homeless. We are putting together a homeless shelter. For many years, we had just a wintertime homeless shelter, and then we agreed to make it full-time year-round. But the money spent on the homeless and the administration of it and the Measure H money that went to LA County is not available for us to actually help the homeless. There's a lot of money going to just administration and the development of the homeless. So I would like to see a more progressive way to get that Measure H money back to Santa Clarita. When Measure H was being presented as a proposition on the ballot, Santa Clarita administration didn't seem to be very aggressive towards trying to get a bigger percent of the money coming back. So we need to take a preventive approach to addressing this situation instead of just a reactive approach. And so I would like to take a more preventive approach and address the homeless before it becomes a bigger problem.
Moving on, we've seen a lot of different things happen during the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since LA County Health has been seen to create a one-size-fits-all policy on passing out emergency health mandates, what are your thoughts on the city potentially creating its own health administration to better cater to the health care needs of our valley?
The valley is connected. I think we should divide into Northern California, LA County, and also include Antelope Valley and Gorman area, and separate from the LA city part, and we could develop a public health administration within the northern part of the county. I think it would be very hard to try to get separated just for LA Santa Clarita Valley. I think we could get more support if we tried it with Lancaster and Palmdale and Gorman. So I would go the route of separating LA County in two health departments, one for the northern county and one for the southern end of the county.
Speaking of Santa Clarita issues, recently KHTS, we helped hold a press conference where the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station officials told us that Santa Clarita is actually leading LA County in fentanyl-related drug deaths. As of the last update I heard, it had actually been up to 24 related drug deaths in the last, what month were we in, 9 months. What can the city do to help address this?
Yeah, there's two ways the city needs to approach this. Educational, we need to go through the schools or through the youth programs and prevent the use of the drugs. Be more educational, more aggressive towards letting everybody know that there's a problem there and they need to avoid the problem and stay away from the problem. And then the second way to approach this was through enforcement. We need to support the enforcement of the criminal act. We need to enforce the fines and the ability for the sheriff department to take the drugs off the street and keep it out of the city.
So, speaking of that, how do you feel the city is doing currently when it comes to public safety? Are we doing enough? And if not, what more should we be doing?
The safety part, I know that we need more EMTs, the emergency personnel on the fire stations, and I think we need to have a better, more equipment and more personnel on the fire trucks so that they can handle the problems that they're being called to. Lots of times, one station in Canyon Country has a call, and then the next time a call comes in, they have to bring it from Castaic or Stevenson Ranch. So the personnel on the fire trucks needs to be improved so that we can handle the emergencies more readily.
All right.
And the sheriff's department seems to be very good. They're losing personnel because of the budget cross, but they're making up for it in the overtime. And they have these zone deputies. That's a good situation where the zone deputies take care of their zones and give out phone numbers, and people can call them for non-emergency situations.
Final question for you. Tell me why Santa Clarita residents should vote for you in just a few sentences.
I am very peacemaker. I'd like to be the voice of the citizens. Anybody that that knows how much trouble it is to communicate with the city, well, then I would like a vote so that I could help be the liaison between the citizens and the city and try to eliminate some of that problems that are from the lack of communication. That's my main concern, is that the citizens aren't being heard, and I would be the person that would respond and be more available for the citizens.
Thank you. That was Douglas Frasier, who's one of our 2022 City Council candidates. Thank you for joining us, Douglas.
Yes, thank you for the interview.